If this is you, sitting there tonight, replaying the conversation that went wrong, the look she gave you that cut deeper than words ever could, you know exactly what it feels like to be completely misunderstood. Maybe this feels familiar. You gave her your time, your trust, your loyalty, and somehow it wasn't enough. You held the line, tried to protect yourself, tried to be the man she could count on, and yet somewhere along the way, it all fell apart. And now, you're left asking yourself the same questions over and over. Was I too much? Was I too little? Did I do something wrong? You feel that gnawing emptiness in your chest, the one that makes it impossible to focus, impossible to sleep. You wonder why someone you cared for so deeply could hurt you, not just by words, but by the way they dismissed your effort, the way they ignored the loyalty you poured into them. You feel betrayed, but more than that, you feel like the universe itself has turned its back on someone who only tried to do right. And there's this quiet rage too, isn't there? That anger that bubbles under your skin, the kind that makes you want to scream, but you hold it in because you've been taught to be patient, to be understanding, to stay the bigger man. But inside you're cracking, because being a good man doesn't mean being a doormat. It doesn't mean your pain should be invisible. You deserve to be recognized, to be seen, to be protected, even from the one you love the most. So here's the question that's been lingering in your mind, the one that won't let you rest. What really happens to a good man after he's hurt by a woman he trusted with everything? Most men get this situation wrong because they confuse pain with weakness and kindness with permission. They think that showing hurt means they're vulnerable in a way that demands attention, or that chasing answers will somehow fix what was broken. But here's the truth: pain doesn't make you less masculine. It simply signals that something valuable was taken seriously. And kindness isn't a license for someone to disregard your boundaries. A good man isn't defined by how much he gives. He's defined by how well he holds his center when the world tries to knock him off balance. The first principle you need to understand is this: as your value is inherent, not conditional on her recognition or approval. Thus, most men measure themselves by how much they are wanted, how much they are needed, how much they are seen. That's a trap. Being a good man isn't about earning her respect. It's about maintaining your own. When she hurts you, it doesn't diminish your worth. It simply exposes the limits of what she is capable of giving. Recognize that, and you reclaim your power. The second principle is emotional sovereignty. This is the ability to feel fully without being consumed, to process pain without losing yourself in the story she created. A man who truly understands this does not react out of anger, guilt, or confusion. He observes, he learns, he rises. Most men react, they plead, argue, explain, or beg because they've been told that to be strong means to control her feelings. In reality, true strength is holding your ground while she expresses hers and letting your own life continue uninterrupted. When you grasp these truths, you see that being hurt isn't a failure. It's an invitation. An invitation to sharpen your clarity, fortify your boundaries, and step fully into the man you were always meant to be. It's not what happens to you. It's how you respond that defines you. He sits alone on the edge of the bed, the room dimly lit by the soft glow of a streetlight outside. The silence presses down on him, heavier than any words she ever spoke. He can still feel the weight of her hand leaving his, the subtle shrug in her voice that cut deeper than any fight could. Was I too much? Too little? Did I do something wrong? The questions spin in his mind, each one a tiny echo bouncing off the walls of his chest. He remembers the way he smiled for her, the way he tried to anticipate her needs, the way he held his pride back to make space for hers. And now nothing, just a hollow emptiness where her warmth used to be. He runs a hand through his hair, gripping at something, anything, that might give him a sense of control. But control slipped through his fingers the moment she looked at him like he didn't matter. The memory stings. The laugh he thought was shared, the look he thought was love, now flickers like a broken film reel in his mind. Why did I let this happen? Why did I trust her? His chest tightens. The world outside continues, uncaring. The hum of cars and distant voices a cruel contrast to the stillness inside. He wants to scream, but the sound catches in his throat. Instead, he exhales slowly, as if breathing could release the hurt lodged in his bones. And then comes the quiet realization, the part that no one tells you in the moment. This pain is not a sentence, it's a signal. A signal that he feels, that he gave, that he loved fully. And maybe, just maybe, the next step is not to chase her, not to explain, not to fix, but to rise with every fiber of himself intact, stronger for having loved, wiser for having been hurt. The question lingers in the stillness. What will he do with the man he is, now that she has shown who she truly is? Most men believe that if they give everything, love fully, and stay loyal, they'll never be hurt. That's a comforting story, but it's false. Loving deeply doesn't guarantee safety or respect. Pain isn't proof that you failed. It's proof that you were human, that you cared, that you invested yourself fully. The truth is, a good man can be hurt by someone he trusted without it diminishing his value. Being hurt doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware. Boss. Another false belief is that if a woman hurts you, it's because you weren't enough or you did something wrong. That thinking keeps men trapped in endless self-blame, replaying every word, every action, trying to be fixed. What can't be fixed? The reality is, her choices are her responsibility. Your worth isn't measured by her understanding or validation. She didn't reject you. She revealed herself. And here's one more belief to let go of. That pain requires revenge, anger, or proving yourself. Most men think that if they don't react, they've lost. But the real strength, the quiet, undeniable masculine power, comes from staying grounded, from reclaiming your focus, from letting your life move forward without her permission. You weren't ignored. You were awakened to your own power. When you break these lies, the weight lifts. You see clearly that being hurt is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of knowing yourself, of sharpening your boundaries, and of stepping fully into the man you already are. Pain becomes a teacher, not a punishment. And for the first time, you realize nothing she does can take away what is inherently yours. This is what the 1% headman understands. Being hurt doesn't diminish him. It illuminates him. He knows that pain is a signal, not a sentence. Where most men panic, plead, or chase validation, he remains grounded, seeing clearly what's his to own and what belongs to her. He doesn't measure his value by her actions. He measures it by how fully he lives, how clearly he holds his center. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. He doesn't react to her moods, defend his worth, or try to control outcomes. Instead, he moves through life with calm authority, allowing his energy, his purpose, and his self-respect to guide him. He feels fully without being consumed, acknowledges the hurt without letting it define him, and elevates himself instead of being dragged down. He also understands timing. Pain is temporary, clarity is permanent. He uses the experience to sharpen his boundaries, reinforce his standards, and step into a version of himself that cannot be shaken by someone else's choices. While most men collapse under emotional weight, the 1% headman rises because he knows this simple truth. Nothing outside of you can take away what's already yours inside. When she hurts him, he doesn't break. He becomes stronger, wiser, and more undeniably present in his own life. He's walking alone down the quiet street, the night cool against his skin, and for the first time in weeks, he stops. He stops replaying her words, stops questioning every move he made, stops carrying the weight of someone else's choices on his shoulders. In the stillness, a thought surfaces, soft, almost imperceptible at first, but it grows louder with every heartbeat. I am enough. I have always been enough. He feels it in his chest, a warmth spreading from his ribs to his fingertips. The anger softens, the emptiness begins to fill, and a clarity he hasn't known in months settles over him. He remembers who he is, not who she said he should be, not the reflection she projected onto him, but the man he has always carried quietly inside. He realizes he has been waiting for her approval, her validation, her acknowledgement, when all along he was the one holding the key to his own worth. And in that quiet, fleeting moment, he understands The hurt she caused cannot define him, cannot diminish him. He exhales, letting go of the story that trapped him, and feels a pulse of power he had forgotten, steady, unshakable, wholly his own. From that point, he doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't collapse. He remembers, and in remembering, he rises. The truth is, being hurt doesn't make you weak. It proves you dared to care, to give, to love fully. What follows isn't despair or regret. It's clarity, strength, and a deeper understanding of your own worth. You don't need her validation to know your value, and you don't need her presence to feel complete. Pain becomes a teacher, not a prison, and every scar reminds you of the man you already are. The woman who hurt you revealed something vital. Your power was never in her hands. It was inside you all along.